I'm like smelling how old it is. This has a character named Audrey in it. Am I calling her Emily Henry? All right, this is another shame spiral. It's not even like it's a painted edges kind of special edition. How do you guys get in the frame of mind? Didn't even know I had it. This was absurd. All right, this is another. Hi everybody, it's Audrey and welcome back to Chapter and Converse and welcome to a book on haul. It is long overdue. I am kind of slowly peeling some books off the shelf. I've come up with a pretty good box plus of books to talk about today. So my self-control about not buying books has weakened and I need to make some room on my shelf. So I have figured out, not that this is anything revolutionary, but the problem for me with being a mood reader is I'm also a mood shopper because I'm like, I absolutely can't wait to read that book. And sometimes the mood passes. So it's a mix of books that I've read and haven't read. I'm trying to get to the, I don't think I'm going to read this again, / I haven't read it yet, but maybe there's an easy way to get from the library should that mood ever strike. I don't know. I'm just, trying to be like low-key ruthless. So anyway, we're going to go through all the books. If I can tell you anything about them, I will. I'm going to do a combination of putting some stuff on my Pango and then just straight up donating some. And then there's a handful that have seen better days that are just going to get recycled. And yeah, so we'll talk through it. So my Pango shop is live again if anybody is interested. There are a handful of books already on there because I was slowly piecemealing some books away. And then some of these will show up there. So here we go. Let's just get on into it. So a fuzzball on this one. So the first book I have is Never Have I Ever by Jocelyn Jackson. I read this a few years ago. I really enjoyed it. I just don't see myself ever rereading it. So I enjoyed her as an author. I've read a couple of her books. She does do some nice dark and messed up. And this was like new lady in town in the neighborhood, kind of turns everything a little bit on its head. It reminded me a little bit when I heard about Lisa Kusel's The Widow on Dwyer Court. I was like, ooh, that kind of reminds me of that Jocelyn Jackson book. So great fun. Highly recommend it. Just not going to reread it. Okay. The next one I'm going to unhaul is Divine Rivals. If you guys have been around here for a while, you will remember maybe that vlog where I obsessively read this and I felt like I had never read anything like it before. I would say it's like low-key fantasy, which is so not my genre, but I think because it was about writers, I 1000% fell in love with like the cover of this book. I got super jazzed about it. I had a very wonderful love affair with this book, and you will see later in this unhaul, the sequel is going to be in here, which I never read. I pre-ordered it, the fire went out, and I never read it, so somebody can enjoy that. Next one is Nora Goes Off Script by Annabelle Monaghan. So I read Same Time Next Summer, and I don't remember, I think it was probably the Bad on Paper podcast where I heard about this. So I read this one first and like bought this one almost immediately, just getting a text message. And I very much enjoyed this, as you can see by the tabs, which I will detab it before I get rid of it. But it's a closed door romance. And not that I always need the door kicked all the way open, but I found myself like longing for a little bit more, a little unsatisfied from the romance side of it. So I enjoyed the book, I enjoyed the main character, but yeah, I wanted like a little something, something. So when push comes to shove and I am picking up a romance, I have not yet gravitated to this, so I haven't read this one yet. So they're both gonna find a beautiful new happy home. And then a book I haven't read is Royals Next Door by Karina Halle, H-A-L-L-E. I definitely had like a Meghan Harry love affair, and this felt kind of very royal at the time, and I snatched it up, and this was a few years ago, and I just never read it. So there you go. Okay, next up is Do the Work by Gary John Bishop. This is the workbook that goes with his like Get It Together Man series. Like, I'm going to say it's the wrong one. It's the Unf Yourself series. I almost said something different. So I thought I was going to unf myself and do this entire workbook, and I haven't. It's not used. I never actually wrote in it or anything like that. I just need to stop. Somebody else can enjoy it. And then I have Sarah Knight, which is Get Your Shit Together, which is how to stop worrying about what you should do so you can finish what you need to do and start doing what you want to do. So just like a fun, I feel like it's very whited out, kind of little book of nuggets, you know, kind of like that same sort of humor. I've referenced it a handful of times, and I know I'm just not gonna to read it / need it. So there we go. Okay, next up. This one hurts a little bit, but I'm trying to be realistic. This is Such a Quiet Place by Megan Miranda. It hurts because I haven't read it, and I'm just not gravitating towards it. I'm just not. So I was gonna say All the Beautiful Strangers. That's not her book. What is her book that I read that I loved that's like written in reverse? All the Missing Girls. I still love that book, and I still have that one, and I'm keeping that one. I just haven't gravitated back towards hers. This one really looked good. I'm trying not to talk myself out of it. There's like a map of a neighborhood on here. It's kind of reminding me of the new Riley Sager book. And there's like some beautiful little drawings for each chapter heading. So again, never been read. May somebody else enjoy her. Okay. And then I have Husband Material by Alexis Hall. So I did read this. I mostly, oh, there's a bookmark in here. It's my Riley Sager bookmark too. I'm spinning it in circles. This is from Survive the Night. It says, movies are magical that way. Everything is magnified. The colors are brighter. The shadows are darker. I don't want to lose that. Okay. Anyway, Husband Material. So I'm keeping Boyfriend Material, which I loved. I very much enjoyed this. I mostly listened to this on audiobook, and I think if I ever want to revisit the series, I will do it on audiobook. So again, somebody else can enjoy it. I'm like, is there anything else in here that I maybe want to keep that's mine? Oh my God, there is. There is. My notes on the book when I was listening to it. I've got to go through all these books before I unhaul them. I read it in 2022. Really enjoyed it. Just know I'm going to stop making excuses. Okay, next up is Untamed by Glennon Doyle. Also very much enjoyed this book. It was very much, I think, a time and a place. There are some quotes in here that I really enjoyed. Also wound up listening to a lot of this on audiobook. Really need to stop buying the book and then listening to it on audio. Just like do it the other way around. But there were some good quotes in here that I enjoyed. This one was pretty heavily dog-eared. And again, I think if I ever gravitate back to it, I'm going to listen to it. So there were some really funny parts. There were some emotional parts to this. And a lot of it is about parenthood, which is not something I relate to. So while I enjoyed it a first time round, it's just a lot of stuff that didn't apply to me, relate to me. But I did enjoy it when I read it. It's also beautiful. But by Glennon. And then I have Framed by S.L. McGinnis. This is a book that has survived many an unhaul. I thrifted this years ago. I feel like there's a number of thrifted decisions in this box. And again, I just never read it. So I don't know. It's about like toxic female friendships. I need to stop reading the descriptions or I'm going to get sucked back in. So I don't know. Hopefully none of these make their way back out of the box. Okay, then I have The Chain by Adrienne McKinty. I read this book years ago. I already took the stickers and stuff out of it. I really liked it. This was kind of a wild ride of a book. This was in the, I feel like the unhinged, no exit kind of vein of a book. And it's not the kind of book I'm going to read again. So I enjoyed him as a writer. It was my first of his books. And again, somebody else can enjoy it. So good times. All right, a book that is probably just going to get recycled because she has seen better days. This is back in the day when these were the paperbacks I used to buy. This is After All These Years by Susan Isaacs. I binged a whole bunch of her books at a certain time in my life. When did this one even come out? And I really enjoyed them. And again, if I'm ever, this is 1993 this one came out. If I'm ever going to read this book again, I'm not going to read this copy of it. Like I would get a proper copy. Sorry, my texts are going off. Or like from the library or something like that. So I had a good time with it. This was made into a fun, like Lifetime, like smelling how old it is. Like a Lifetime or Hallmark movie. And with Wendy Malick, which I really enjoyed. So it was changed a bit, but I enjoy Susan Isaacs. My bookmark is from where I worked in college. So there's that. All right, then I have The Marriage Pact by Michelle Richmond. I read this and really enjoyed this one as well. Again, I'm just not going to reread it. So I am like the queen of a reread. I love to reread a thriller, but I'm also very specific about which thrillers I'm going to reread. So I just know this hasn't drawn to me yet. This hasn't called to me again since I read it. I am heavy in my dog earring days in this book. This is also, Audrey likes to underline passages in books. So this one's just gonna get a little free little library read. But I enjoyed this. It was like the newlyweds get a gift and an invitation to the Pact. It's like this culty kind of marriage club. It was really good. It was really, really good. Okay. I have never read Bad Luck Bridesmaid. This was another rando. I don't even know who recommended it purchase, and somebody else can, again, have fun with it. Then I have the Thursday Murders Club. I don't know who's doing stuff on a Tuesday. Thursday Murders Club by Richard Osman. I had bought this from my dad years ago. After he read it, he gifted it back to me to read and enjoy. I have never read it. I have no shade against the Thursday Murders Club. I just haven't picked it up, and I have heard that the audiobooks of this entire series are fantastic. So again, if I'm going to read it, I'll probably go that route. So there you go. I only have that one. So at least I didn't buy everything in the series before reading any of it. Okay, next up I have Trust Me by Hank Phillippi Ryan. This is the one that has the cool cover where sideways it says liar, which I just loved. So I also very much enjoyed this book. I'm just not going to reread it. It's kind of what it all boils down to. This is who can you trust when you can't trust yourself? An accused killer insists she's innocent of a heinous murder. A grieving journalist surfaces from the wreckage of her shattered life. Their unlikely alliance leads to a dangerous cat and mouse game that will leave you breathless. Dun dun dun. I really enjoy Hank Phillippi Ryan. I really, really do. And I mean, she's Boston. Boston, you're my home. She's my girl. Love her. Okay. I don't know why I'm quoting songs. All right, this is another shame spiral. Silver in the Bone by Alexandra Bracken. Break the curse before it breaks you. It's the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition. It's beautiful. Never read it. Never read it. I loved lore. So out of my zone. Every once in a blue moon, I'm like, I could read fantasy. And then I realized I'm just not a fantasy person. It just doesn't call to me. I just needed to have this because it was so beautiful. And then I was listening to, part of what turned me on to this, I was listening to an interview with her, and she was talking about how this takes place in Boston, which I had no idea that was actually the case. I'm like reading, there's like an author's note in the front as part of the exclusive edition. And I was like, oh my God, Boston. I mean, like, Boston, you're my home, gotta go. And I bought it, and it's been sitting on my shelf ever since it first came out. So somebody else should absolutely be able to enjoy this rather than it just collect dust here. Okay. Is this another Michelle? Oh, that's Michelle Richmond. Okay, Michelle Campbell. It's Always the Husband. I also very much enjoyed this book. This has a character named Audrey in it. Such a narcissist. And this was fun too. I just don't think I'm ever going to go back and read it again. So I read this years ago. Everything's going to be like, I read this years ago. I sound like such a broken record. This came out in, ding dong, 2017. So not that I read it immediately, but it's been a minute. And I just have not had the urge to pick it back up again. So again, somebody else can and have fun with it. All right, this is another. I want to pre-order books to support authors that I love, but I need to be more thoughtful about my pre-order game and not just get sucked into the it's 25% off if you pre-order it. So this is The Grandest Game by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. Haven't read it. Haven't read the one before it either. I thought this was part of the Inheritance Game series. It's a whole new set of characters, and like it somehow ties to them, but it's not really about them. I don't know if what's in here is gonna spoil stuff. So Avery, they like run this game competition, and 7 players come and they can like win a ton of money, which cool for them. My interest has just dwindled, and especially because it's not actually about the Hawthorne brothers, I kind of have less interest in it. So this was me impulse purchasing something on a pre-order and not even reading the synopsis of it. And then here we are. So, you know, it happens. It happens. It's okay. All right. Next up, Jen Lancaster, welcome. No. It's called If You Were Here. It's a welcome mat. What an idiot. Jen Lancaster, welcome. That's totally not the name of the book. So she started with nonfiction books, which I think I still have some of them. I don't know if I haven't hauled them yet. I haven't gone through every like box and bookshelf. So like, this is kind of like a pass of some areas, but it was like Bitter is the New Black. I really, really enjoyed them. And then she started writing novels. She used to have this blog, Gensylvania. I really enjoy her humor. She is of an age, and I liked her very, very much. I read this book forever ago when it came out, and I, again, really had a fun time with it. I'm just not going to read it again. Yeah, so she had a whole bunch of nonfiction books. So Bitter is the New Black, Big Bright Lights, Big Ass, Such a Pretty Fat, Pretty and Plaid, and My Fair Lazy. She's really, really funny. If you guys haven't read anything by her, she is really, really funny. This is from 2011. And yeah, more power to her. So I have other books by her that I am keeping, haven't gotten rid of yet. We'll see, we'll see, we'll see. But this one I'm gonna let go of. Okay. Another book I haven't read. Sally Hepworth, The Family Next Door. I have read a few Sally Hepworth books and I very much enjoyed them. I want to say the last one I did on audio and I really enjoyed. So again, I think if I'm going to read it, I might lean audio or library. I just haven't gravitated to it. So again, somebody else should enjoy the joy of this book. Small perfect towns often hold the deepest secrets. I mean, it's up my alley. It's just a matter of, you know. Ooh, that was a bad noise. Okay. Emily Giffin, First Comes Love. I picked this up secondhand. I had a little bit of we were on a break, Emily and I, because I think it was First Comes Love or The One and Only. It was the one about the girl and her best friend's dad was the football coach. If anybody remembers that book. Emily and I had to take a time out after that. We had to take a little bit of a break. And then when I first started listening to audiobooks, I even want to say Julia Whalen did this. I listened to it on audio and I really liked it. It was about two sisters. It kind of reminded me why I love Emily Henry. And I got really excited about it. So I listened to it and then I bought it. So at least I did it the other way around. But I have never... Am I calling her Emily Henry? It's Emily Giffin. Am I calling her Emily Henry? Wow. Wow. Hold please. Let me just check because now it's going to bother me. I think Julia Whalen narrated it. And I think that's why I listened to it. I'm like staring over here into the distance. Hold on. Okay, yeah. So seldom right and wrong again. It was narrated by Emily Foster and Catherine Tabor. So don't listen to me. What do I know? Obviously I know a whole lot of nothing. So anyway, that's not why I'm getting rid of it. I just have not gravitated back towards it and that's fine. And The One and Only is the one with the football coach. I unhauled that one a long time ago, but I do own the rest of her books like before this. I've kept them. So anyway, there you go. Sidebar. And here is Ruthless Vows, book number 2 from the Divine Rival series. Haven't read it. Barely even cracked the cover. It's got a nice little embossed cover on it. I think this was also a Barnes & Noble exclusive. Do you see the pattern? The way I fall for those like 25 off if you pre-order. I'm sure it's a lovely book. I just have lost, I've lost that loving feeling. That's what's happening. Okay. Another Barnes & Noble exclusive edition. Age of Ice. Deep Tea Kapoor. I have this on audiobook and then I went and bought the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition. I'm such a tragic human. So nice little gold embossing, a little bit here. It's not even like, no disrespect, but like, it's not even like it's a painted edges kind of special edition. I've heard great things about this book. I think I'm just probably going to listen to it on audio, which I already have. So this was absurd, but you know, if you've been here for a minute, that won't shock you. Okay. Oh, look at this. Jen Lancaster, Bright Lights, Big Ass, Bitter is the New Black. So Again, very much enjoyed these books, just don't think I'm going to reread them. So they are nonfiction, like slice of life, vignettes, essays. She really is quite funny. I'm going to sit here and then I'm going to be like, you know what? I should keep these and reread these. That's what keeps happening. It's really just like, this is all about like life in the big city. It's all glary. It's really funny, but she talks about like sororities. So this is just like how like she had it all and then she lost it all and all the stories in between. I feel like there's like funny unemployment stories here. I don't know. I just really enjoyed these. I can like vividly remember buying these when I lived in the city and just loving it so, so much. Yeah, even one of the short stories in here is called Pennsylvania. So this is, wow, the way I can't focus. I mean, does anybody care when these books came out? 2006. Let's just keep moving. Okay. Next up, Kate Holohan, Lies She Told. I have read 2 of Kate's books, I think. I want to say 2 of her books. And I'm just going to let this one go. So again, I know I can get it on audio at my library. I think I already have it marked as a favorite. Just in like so many on an audio. Audio's just, I don't know, it's working for me these days. Okay, Lisa Unger, The Stranger Inside. I got this from Thrift Books in a thrift extravaganza. Some of these, like I said, were thrifted, all the things in between. I just haven't reached for it. I do like her as an author. I can get all of her stuff online, so somebody else can enjoy it. Jennifer Weiner, Good Night Nobody. The way that I can't read what is written on the front of a book is horrifying to me right now. So I own multiple copies of this book. I'm unhauling this one. This was a case of, I have a very beat up, beloved copy of this book. And I saw this was actually from a library sale, and I got it. And I was like, oh, I'll like replace my beat up one. And then I realized my beat up one is like dog-eared and like all the important moments are marked in it. So if I go back and read this, like all that is missing. So somebody else can enjoy it. And then I have Sandy Jones, This Is the Other Woman, and I just haven't read it. So I've read, I want to say a few of her books as well. I cannot sit with crossed legs the way I used to. And I enjoy her. I just haven't gravitated towards this. Why is there no list of other books that she's written? Is this her first book? Maybe this was her first book. This is her first book. The Other Woman? Yes, this is her debut. She's written many books since. There you go. Okay. Another Jennifer Weiner. This is The Next Best Thing. I went through like a second coming with her and then picked this up but never read it. And I kind of realized not that I don't enjoy her newer stuff, but she was like an auto-buy author for me. I met her back in the day, like at a book signing, delightful lady. And I just haven't been reading anything newer from her. So I'm just gonna let that one go. And then I have The Fourth Monkey by J.D. Barker. This was in, I want to say, my first Thriller Fest bag, and I have not read it, and then things happened with him, so I have no desire to read it, so that one's going to go. I have Nevada Bar, What Rose Forgot. This was another Thriller Fest get. I just haven't read it. It's been on my shelf for a long time. I haven't gravitated towards it. There's some of these books I'm like, I wonder if my mom would like it. No, I think it's too murdery. Okay, Miracle Creek by Angie Kim. I haven't read it. She's beautiful. Ugh. Don't tell me to read all these books, guys. I mean, you can, but don't. You know what I mean. I've heard great things about it. I think if I'm going to read it, I'm just going to get it from the library, which I know sounds real dumb because I'm sitting here holding it. I have no plans to read it anytime soon. There's like a courtroom in this. Why is this not my bag? Yeah, I mean, it is, but it's not. I just haven't been drawn to it. I don't see myself reading it anytime soon. Somebody else could enjoy it. I bid it farewell. It's beautiful. Let it go. Okay. I'm having feelings about this. This is Never Rolled Wake by Marisha Pessel. So after I read Night Film, I was like, she's everything. I gotta read all of her stuff. And I bought this book and I never read it. And it's been sitting here forever and ever and ever. And when I was doing this unhaul, I was like, just let it go, girl. You're not gonna read this book. And this is Once Upon a Time back at Darrow Harker School. Beatrice Hartley and her 5 best friends were the cool kids, the beautiful ones. Then the shocking death of Jim, their creative genius, and Beatrice's boyfriend changes everything. So fast forward to, no joke, the Saturday after Thanksgiving. It's at my parents' house, scrolling, shopping on Instagram, and I saw that Marisha Pessl was at that new Barnes & Noble that opened that is definitely driving distance from my parents' house. She was there at 1 o'clock signing her new book, Darkly. I saw the Instagram post at 2 p.m. and I was like, oh my God, I could have gone. And then I was like, you know what I need to do? I need to buy Darkly. That's what I need to do. So I 1,000% ordered Darkly. And while I was on her Instagram page, they've reissued the covers for this. And I was like, oh my God, I have that book at home. It's in my unhaul box. Do I rescue it? Or do I buy the new cover? Or should I maybe read Darkly and see if I still dig her? I don't know. So this one might get a pass, but the new cover is beautiful. I'll put it over here for you guys. And Darkly is in the mail. So there we go on that. All right, next up, this is The Snow Garden by Christopher Rice. I am also, very shimmery, highly guilty of listening to a podcast and just gobbling up all the books that somebody that I love recommends. So I've talked about this before, Marketer's Dream. So I bought this a year or so ago. I didn't even know I had it. This was one of those. I do have books in boxes because of space constraints. And as I was going through a box, I was like, what is this? And then when I started to read about it, I was like, oh, yeah. So we're just gonna let it go. We're just gonna let it go. Didn't even know I had it. Okay, next up, I'm letting go of Pet Sematary by Stephen King. I did read this. I enjoyed the experience. I don't think I'll ever read it again. I really don't. I don't see myself rereading a Stephen King book. I still have a handful of his books that I haven't read. I feel like I was trying to make fetch happen for me and him. So I appreciate his writing. I had a very traumatic experience with the first original movie of this, which I think I've talked about, where my friends and I rented it in high school and we were watching it in my friend's basement and were freaked every way out. And then my friend Jen and I had to walk home, like the 15-minute walk through the burbs in the pitch black dark. And we were terrified that Zelda was going to come get us. So I had so much PTSD from that movie that this was like an exorcism. I read the book, which was definitely dark and creepy. Really good story about grief, really well written. And then I went back and rewatched the original movie, and spoiler alert, it ain't scary, guys. It's really not. But at the time it was really scary. So anyway, letting that go. And then I have Karen Slaughter, Pieces of Her. This is another book I picked up, I think at like a library sale. And I got so jazzed. I was like, oh, it's signed in the front. It was one of these things where they did like it's not like somebody met her, like it's like Dear Reader. But I just have never picked it up. I read The Good Daughter years ago. Again, very much enjoyed it. The first scene was brutal. And I have not read anything since. I just feel like I don't have it in me. I love her as a writer. I find her hugely entertaining. I really struggle with the violence in her books, in the one that I read. And I heard like Pretty Girls was really traumatic. I've already unhauled that one. And I don't know. I just don't see myself gravitating to this anytime soon. So again, somebody else should enjoy it. That is the party line here. And then this one is probably going to get some people going. I'm going to unhaul The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. I got this from a free little library years ago. And I was like, oh my God, everybody loves this book. I know Sarah, if you're watching this, please still be my friend. I have never had any interest in picking this up. And I was even listening to Olivia Mentor, who's on Bad on Paper. And if anybody listens to that podcast, Becca was talking about how this is like her favorite book. So Olivia's like, I'm going to read it. And I have a lot of similarities with Olivia. Not a ton. Or no, I shouldn't say that. We're probably like at least 50%. Like we're in the same, yes, we agree on these books. And she was like, it was slow and I had a bit of a hard time. Like I appreciate it for what it is, but like I didn't fly through it. Like I don't love it the way you love it. And I think that would be my experience. I also feel like I've just missed the boat on it, but nothing about this is like read me now. So again, somebody else should enjoy it. I wish them a good time with that book. I know it's a national treasure. I understand it. It's just not my national treasure. So she's gonna go. But all right, that is it for this round. So like I said, there are some books on my Pango. I'm not trying to direct you guys there. If you're looking for a book and you find a book, fantastic. No pressure to go check it out or anything like that. I appreciate you just being here, watching me do this. I have been watching a handful of other people's unhauls, trying to like get my juju flowing and get some inspiration. And I would like to be, I mean, not Patricia. I would like to be a bit more ruthless, not by anything we can see, because I've reshuffled these a little bit. So I don't know. I'm gonna keep trying. But anyway, at least for now, this is like a decent dent. And yeah, so we'll see what comes next. But let me know, how are you guys with unhauling books? How do you get in the mood to unhaul a book? This is my problem. I'm trying to move towards, I'm not trying to move towards minimalism, but just like some simplicity, just some less visual clutter, less like, it's like all the clothes in my closet where I'm just like, I don't want to wear that sweater. Like I want to wear this sweater. So how do you guys get in the frame of mind? That's what I struggle with, amongst other things. I mean, it should be one in, one out, but it's a conversation for a different video. So anyway, there we go, unhauling books. And yeah, so I will see you guys next time. Thanks for being here this time. And yeah, I have a wrap up coming, and then I need to film my next wrap up. And if you guys have made it this far, and if you follow me on Instagram, this is not a surprise. I finished the new Ashley Winstead book and I am obsessed. I'm obsessed. So full review coming on that, all spoiler free, you know, all the good stuff. And yeah, so anyway, just let me know what's going on. Let me know how you're doing, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you for watching. It's late. Bye everybody.